another very interesting discussions as relates to the polity. We have engineering and allied professionals in national developments as the topic. We have engineer Emmanuel Idoniboye or Idoniboye. I don't know if I've murdered that name. Idoniboye, wash engineer and leadership experts. Good to have you. Thank you for joining us. Good morning.
Thank you very much for having me. My name is Engineer Emmanuel Idoniboye. Thank you for
Idoniboye.
having me.
All right. Sorry about pronouncing your name very haphazardly. Okay, straight to it. How important really
Okay.
are engineers in addressing Nigeria's water sanitation problems?
Well, water and sanitation is the basic, as we know, is one of the sustainable development goals, and it is expected that every human being should have access to potable water and clean sanitation. And water, as we know, comes from several sources. Surface water, the water bodies as we have in our rivers and oceans, underground water, and such like. And it's expected that engineers play a very significant role because these are the individuals that process this water to making them portable where they are them accessible. So engineering and engineers very essential for water and for sanitation. I tell you that every decent society will need their waste to be channeled properly and decently, and engineers ensure that process is done effectively.
How can engineers help in achieving the sustainable development goals, especially as it relates to WASH initiative?
Well, like I said, that is one of the sustainable development goals. And engineers, if properly utilized by government and the authority, will ensure that the target set for achieving the goals is met. I talk from the perspective of Port Harcourt water, of which I was part of in the days gone by, and I speak for that as in my experience there. Um, we were in charge as the pioneer project manager. We were in charge of ensuring the reticulation and supply of potable water and effective sanitation in and around the Port municipality. That to a very large extent has been done. I'm no longer in that project, but that to a very large extent has been done.
Mm. What level of collaboration do you think should exist between engineers, health professionals, in order for there to be some positive outcomes for WASH initiatives?
Okay, especially for this WASH, generally speaking, there are some professions that are technically allied, some are scientifically allied, some, management wise. We talk of the profession architecture as a technically allied profession. Now, for specifically for the water and sanitation aspect of it, what uh, other allied professions we look at? We'll look at the town planners, the town planning profession. They will aid us in giving us access for the reticulation of our pipes and such like facilities as we go, because the town planner is essentially one that goes about delineating facilities as we have them, delineating boundaries for structures and movements in society. Now, for WASH in particular, you find out that such kind of profession will come in handy as being as an allied profession, so that we collaborate with them to that we'll use for the water, access for the pipes that we'll use for sanitation too. So we need to really have a very fruitful collaboration with them. Yes.
Role in helping process these outcomes for WASH?
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Do you think technology can play any role? And how much can technology play when it comes to improving the outcomes for WASH?
Well, the technology is what powers the reticulation of these waters. You're filling water in one particular location and sending it several kilometers for consumption and for use, for other uses. So technology comes in because first, technology is applied in the drilling and the processing of the water and then the reticulation. We have situations where you need to move more than 5 kilometers. Technology comes to play, how you move the water from point A to point B, what you do with the water at point B before you distribute, and all that. Technology has a very significant role to play, yes.
But even with the strengths of technology and engineering, we still have unsafe waters, even places where you have pipes going into people's homes. We still have issues with unsafe waters. What really causes these unsafe waters, even in places where it is believed that the waters are treated and the engineering are actually top-notch?
Well, I can't think of one like that, but it is expected. This is expected that if the water is treated properly, that is, if I understand you clearly, the water is treated properly and there is no sabotage. And there is no sabotage, because sabotage can come in form of somebody either in error or in omission, not performing his duty. Like I said, you drill this water. After you drill it, there is a processing to make sure that it comes to that portable standard for human consumption. So if the treatment is not done properly and adequately, it might be that we'll have some challenges at the consumption end. Again, with the reticulation, if the appropriate material is not used, we could also have challenges in the consumer's end. Like in water, you know, all the pipes, the old PVC pipes were all removed and changed for the more ductile material that should be used. That is guaranteed to last much longer without decay and will need less maintaining.
All right. For you, what kinds of policies should be enacted or maybe should be supported in order to drive engineering-led infrastructure for WASH?
Okay, for WASH in particular, the first thing is that generally speaking, for any engineering infrastructure, I will come to WASH later, but for any engineering infrastructure, we should have the competent hand doing it. We have several quacks in the industry. Yes, we have talked of allied professionals, but we have several quacks parading themselves as engineers. We also have some foreign intrusion into the Nigerian space, proclaiming to be engineers that they necessarily are not. So for the WASH program, it's important knowing that this program ends up with consumables for humanity. There needs to be a very serious attention attached to it. And I would say thanks to the executive order 5 assigned by the immediate past president, President Buhari, which has empowered and is being used by the regulatory body of for engineers, that is Korean, as a basis to ensuring that capacity is built and that the Nigerian engineer is well uh, equipped for better performance.
Okay, so for you, how can engineers be empowered to be able to carry out some of these, initiatives that are engineering based? We hear a lot about funding. We hear a lot about inability for people to even study courses that talks about today's challenges. For you, to what extent do you think that our institutions can inculcate some curricula that basically tailor towards engineering courses that would amount to better outcomes?
Yeah, and presently as we have Korean is well equipped. The Korean president and the council are working assiduously to improving our curriculum. As we all know, engineering is a practical profession, and then uh, courses are presently being introduced that equips the Nigerian engineer for global excellence. Outside of that, the on-industry experience, that is afforded the engineer also equips, because it's not just the school work. It comes to the industry for on-hand experience, and then that also equips it. But the fact is that Korean every year is on top of the situation of ensuring that the curriculum for engineering in all tertiary institutions are up to speed for the modern engineer.
As a course of study, basically get into the developments beyond public health and health systems. What role specifically do you think in our national development do you think engineering would play in our national development?
Thank you very much. Engineering is a very key, significant profession if Nigeria, as a developing country, needs to get developed. Because engineering is that profession that translates all using scientific and mathematical um, data to translate challenges as faced by any one individual or society into solutions. That is, if we need a process plant, Nigeria presently, let me use the oil industry for instance. Presently, we are passing through a situation that we say our refineries, which one is working, which one is not working, which one is about to work. the engineer, if properly equipped and funded, I have that strong conviction that these refineries can be turned around and will have the Nigerian engineer or engineers to thank for that. And when it is turned around, definitely is going to increase the standard of living of the average Nigerian. Today, we see the escalating price of petroleum products. But if we are able to fix our refineries and ensure that they operate at maximum capacity, I believe strongly that it could affect drastically the prices of these petroleum products. So the engineer, if he is properly equipped and his programs funded, can turn around the standard of living in Nigeria.
From your end, really, given what we have for Nigeria today, do you think that we have actually harnessed the strengths of our engineering system in building our economy? I mean, if you look at around the world today, if you look at China, look at the US, look at United Kingdom, some of these developed countries have used engineering positively to impact the lives in terms of building infrastructure, building, systems that work for them. For Nigeria, if you look at what we have, some persons will say we haven't really harnessed the strengths of engineering. How can we begin to harness that strength with a view to building a better society?
Yeah, thank you very much. We all agree that engineering is a key to national development. The challenge is that we have not come to the realization, and I need to state it, that until we realize that it is the engineer that should be in charge of such process to turn around the fortunes, we might not be getting it right. It is not, it is not any other thing but engineering. And because it is engineering, I strongly advocate that engineers be asked to take charge and implement and take charge in the sense of design, analyze design, and construct and process it, and until we come to that end where engineers are truly in charge, not as subordinates, saying no, from the management to the operating
Are you saying that the reason
level
why
should be
we've not harnessed our engineering strength is because we haven't been able to have engineers, in positions to really
very
expatiate on some of these things?
in the round hole. From management to the operating level, we should have engineers in charge. Now, first and foremost, if we have that, the language will be easily understood between management and operation. I won't need much of explanation when I'm talking to management staff. I won't need much of a we're on the same playing field. Now, if that is done, then Nigeria will begin to get our turnaround that we expect of her.
All right. Engineer Emmanuel Idoniboye, many thanks for your time. We truly appreciate your insight.
No problems. Thank you very much for having me.
All right, Engineer Emmanuel has been speaking to us on engineering and allied professionals in national development, giving us an insight on how he feels that engineering can be harnessed in national development across boards. I want to say thank you so much for being part of the broadcast this morning. Remember, we are on SLTV, channel 265. Tell your friends to tell your friends to tell them.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.